Hello there, Quicksilver Slash here with another World of Warships replay for you. Today we're playing on Hotspot. I'm driving my Tier 8 German cruiser, the Admiral Hipper, with Flying Goomba as my division mate in his North Carolina. The big reason I want to show this replay to you is just the power of teamwork and good communication. And it doesn't have to be, someone that you're on comms in a headset. Sometimes just typing in chat can have the same results. But I'm fortunate to have someone who enjoys the same games I do and is pretty much always willing to hop in and put a coordinated effort into a positive outcome. So looking at the enemy team, right away I see that there's only 2 destroyers, which not as good for me because I have my Hipper set up for some destroyer hunting with hydroacoustic, but it's always a good thing on this map because A and C are just so much safer to drive into when there aren't 5 destroyers on each team. As much as it can be funny to watch, torpedo soup is not something I enjoy. So the Hipper and I have had a rough relationship. I don't know why, I just always had difficulty in it. I think part of the reason is it doesn't feel quite as good at those standoff ranges for me, and it could just be that I'm not as good at aiming it with it. And then if you get into a knife fight, torpedoes are useful, but it just doesn't seem to perform as well as, say, an American or particularly Russian cruiser with that great rate of fire that the Russian cruiser line has with those smaller guns. So early on here, my plan is to pretty much just go straight for A, provide support. Goomba's agreed to follow me in and put big gunfire into anything a little heavier than a destroyer that shows up. And I can see it's getting capped. Now right away I switched to AP. Bit of a misplay on my part. I assumed that the cruiser that was spotted was what was capping, and it turns out there's a destroyer. So end up firing my guns blind, hoping to get a hit. AP still can do damage. They go long. That's how it works. Keeping the AP loaded to try to put some shells into the New Orleans. And he's not getting spotted, and it's at this point where I just decide, screw it. Balls to the wall, we're going in. Activate hydroacoustic, turn straight into the torps, and I readied up HE. I am going to get rid of that destroyer one way or another here to start the match off, because then it's just one less ship we got to worry about. So I put a delaying shot on their cap into the New Orleans. Goomba fires over my shoulder, puts some good damage into him, and then my hydroacoustic finally detects that DD, and from here on out it's pretty much tunnel vision for me. I'm still looking around. I know there's some heavy hitters on their team waiting for me to show up, but I just used some of those WASD hacks, speed up, slow down, left, right, and while I take some big hits, I managed to avoid most of the heavy damage. And you'll notice that New Orleans just got wrecked. And I'm about to finish this destroyer off. So overall, you know what? I'll trade half my ship's hit points for a kill. And there we go. A rare secondary kill with the Hipper. You don't get many of them in cruisers. I find the secondaries just aren't really a focus like they can be for a battleship. So I fire off some torpedoes and I am heading for cover. At this point, I'm basically telling my division mate, you know what? I took the hits, cleared the cap, it's time for you to go in and do your job. I'm just trying to get clear and just find somewhere nice and safe that I can just lob shots at ships. You see there, I get 2 nice torpedo strikes into that North Carolina. Right now Goomba and I are both focusing on that Congo, and then a Nuremberg shows up. And he's driving side on to a battleship, and Goomba just wrecks him. Puts him on pretty much single volley health for any cruiser or battleship. But it looks like he's gonna get away. For now, that is. We go back to focusing our fire on the Congo. I get a couple nice fires on him. Doesn't look like he's putting them out, so that damage is going to stack up. And from the looks of it, I'd say that Nuremberg didn't learn his lesson the first time. I get a couple shells into him, light a fire, he starts turning away, but it's too little too late. Goomba gets a nice lined up shot and just ends his day. So now, quick look at the map. You can see it's pretty much me and Goomba right around A. A couple of my teammates are beside me, but all they've really got over here is the North Carolina. So, time to push. And I'm telling Flying Goomba that I'm going to cut up right alongside the shore, and I'm just going to drive out and torp this guy. So he just keeps his nose in, firing, slows up, so that I can squeak by him. And I don't know if this North Carolina was paying enough attention, because I am detected. He should have known I was coming, and that I'd be very dangerous. Because rather than hold fire and wait for the cruiser threat, he decides to empty a volley right into the nose of Flying Goomba, which just, it really doesn't achieve much. Like, most of the shells just hit the water. Had he held that for me coming out, could have killed me. Maybe he wouldn't have, but it would have been a possibility. Instead, he's got nothing but secondaries to try to defend as I sneak past my division mate and go for the kill. And at this range, it doesn't matter what kind of torpedoes you're running, there's no dodging them in a battleship.
We've destroyed an enemy battleship.
And this is really the power of playing in a division, is all these plays so far. Me and him were just continuously talking, coordinating, discussing which targets we were going for. When I focused in on the destroyer, I told him to go for the New Orleans. It keeps that guy off my back, and probably kept me alive, because the New Orleans, that close in, had my side, he could have done a lot of damage. So our plan now was to kind of split up and get a pincer. My goal was to go into B and put some longer range fire with him sailing south to pressure those battleships on the enemy team that are on part health. And personally, I make a bit of a mistake here. I should have been more aware of that Otago that's going into B. He has 10k torps, and I just wasn't paying attention to that. And I don't even really catch them when they first get spotted by our DD there. You notice I don't really react to them. You know, my torpedo alarm's going off. I only see 3. I'm like, oh, I can dodge that. But I forgot how many torpedoes the Otago's got on each side. And I managed to squeak past that one, but my turn is too late, and I eat one right in the bow.
We're all below the water line. We're flooding quickly.
And it's kind of here that I realize I am between a rock and a hard place. The Otago's closing in. He can kill me easy, and I've got that New Mexico. So I try to get a couple more shots off, hopefully light a fire on the New Mexico. Maybe I can end his game, because I'm pretty sure he'd already put one out. You can see Goomba's shells landing there. And it's this point where teamwork once again comes in. I just tell him, stop firing at the battleships. I'm going to die if this Otago doesn't die. So his turrets start to come around for me. I'm just trying to go nose into this Otago, keep myself as safe as possible. Get a couple AP shells out, get a nice citadel, knock about 10,000 damage off. But now I'm a sitting duck, and he's got torps again.
Torpedoes, dead ahead.
So there goes his next set. All that damage that disappeared was Goomba's shells landing over my head. I don't know that I really caught it, but that's my game. Fortunately, I'm in a division. We may be down a couple ships, but I've still got someone on my team who I can help out. So during the actual game, right away I hopped to his ship, and I just became an extra set of eyes to try to help him decide what the play here is. And Huge hit on that Congo, ends that, and he starts to turn north to go bow in to a Colorado that is driving into B. Meanwhile, we've got a Mitsuki going after that New Mexico that's on low health, and for the love of God, I have no idea why, but the Mitsuki decided to close to detection range to fire his torpedoes. You've got a battleship, really nothing else to aim at. You've got torpedoes that you can fire from stealth, and for some reason, he decided to close to pretty much point blank to try to throw his torps. And he does get them off, but at that range, the way he aimed them, not a single one hits. And you'll see in about a minute here, the Mitsuki's going to eat it and die. Meanwhile, Goomba is engaging the Colorado on the other team. And I don't know if it was his aim or RNG, but side on, he only really got about 8,000 damage in to that Colorado with a volley. And that just, you know, that kind of range, that should almost be half his health, and it probably just bad luck. So while he's doing that, Mitsuki just died, but he still has his rear turret, and he has the presence to use his rear turret to shoot the New Mexico, gets a kill there. So that's now 4 kills for Goomba. I got 2 myself and 105,000 damage. As a division, we've got 6 kills. That's half the enemy team that we cleared off this map. And for us, this was a really good game. Unfortunately, the rest of our team didn't do so well. They got eaten up at sea, and the luck wasn't on Goomba's side here at the end, because he gets 3 more volleys in, and you can see he is just burning right now. So he's done. He's just trying to take this Colorado with him. Unfortunately, those final 3 volleys, while they do a bit of damage, the final 2 just go straight into the water for nothing, and the fires catch up. That's the end of the game. Luckily, I have another treat for you. So here we are on Neighbors. I'm in my Tier 8 Japanese destroyer, the Fubuki. I equipped this thing with the 10-kilometer torpedoes. I feel they're a little bit better personally. Unfortunately, going into the islands up on the north, I come across no one. So I do the one thing that every responsible Japanese destroyer captain does, and that is head straight for the enemy cap and try to confuse them a little, get them to turn their backs. So we're cutting to me getting there just now, and one of the things I've always loved about Neighbors, and you see me mentioning it in chat, is there's a little harbor in the south spawn that one ship starts in. And every time I'm on this map, I've just dreamed about getting to that little harbor and capping from that. So here I am going over to it, and you can see it just here. It's guarded by a little fort. There's a gantry crane for loading larger ships and probably doing some repair work is the idea. But this nice little harbor is actually fully within the map and within the cap circle. And the fort and ground around it, I feel, would block some of the view lines of approaching ships. So you can see me there about halfway across their cap, and I'm heading straight for it. I toss off a couple torpedoes, just luck chucking, hoping I might hit someone who turns around, because at this point, I've already capped their base a quarter way. Someone has to be trying to come back to stop this, or they're going to lose. And you know, there may be people who think this is an unglorious way to win a game, you know. Haven't shot anyone yet, drove straight into the cap, but I'll take a win any day over getting cocky and just eating crap because, hey, no cap must kill all. And when I was driving in here, it felt amazing. Just going into this little harbor, drive under the crane, completely in protection. Thought it was a little deeper than it was. I guess there's a little graphics wall there. But I've arrived safely. And you can just see, like, perfect little rendered harbor, my little destroyer in there. And this is where I'm going to spend the rest of the game. One of their destroyers does turn around and start to come back for me, but it's far too late. There he is just appearing on the map. So I pop my smoke, coating this little village in a thick veil of fog. I ready my rear guns, and I let the rest of my team spot him while I fire at him. And with the hit points he had, and where he was coming in, he wouldn't have even had a chance to get close enough to be able to fire into the mouth of that harbor. And you can just see that big cloud of smoke covering the whole town.
Smoke screen set.
And it may have been a cheeky way to go about this, but I'll take a win. And makes a great little video, and I was laughing hysterically when I managed this. It's been on my list of things to do since I saw this spawn on the map, and now I've achieved it. Anyways, thank you guys for joining me for another video. I hope you enjoyed these. I know they weren't massive games like my previous World of Warships one I posted, but not all are, and sometimes I just like to point out some of the funnier moments in the game that made me laugh, and this was definitely one of them. Best way to cap an enemy base? From inside their own harbor. Thank you very much. Have a good day. I'm going to come back tomorrow with another World of Tanks replay. I've got a 1v9 that a friend of mine gave me to show you guys.